it's a good idea to try and keep your blades as rust free as you can. Certainly don't let the rust build up. Um, Before you peen, and really before you put them away for the winter, give them a clean. And I quite like these rubberized abrasive blocks that the scythe companies sell, or any engineering company or metalworking company will sell these. So they're like a pencil eraser. They're rubber, and they've got abrasive grit in them. You can get them in coarse, medium, fine. I think this is a coarse one. Um, so for this, I'll be working on a bench actually in the workshop. But you just pretend this is my bench. You just rub it like a pencil eraser, like you're rubbing out a drawing or something, uh, and it will clean up the edge of the blade. Except this blade is quite rusty, and it's going to be a lot of work. So for this blade, I think I might resort to some emery paper, which I haven't got with me.
But an angle grinder.
An angle grinder with a flap wheel. Yeah, get a flap wheel which has got fine abrasive. I haven't done it because I'm not brave enough. Because if you push too hard, you're going to eat your blade away. But with a fine flap wheel, I think you could take a light touch. That would clean it up very quickly.
What were them Dremel things? Those little Dremel hand tools.
Yeah, I think flat wheel might be better because it would do a slightly larger area. With a Dremel, you might make lots of little dints and things. I mean, I'm not familiar with a Dremel, but you can get lots of attachments which will stand them. Or the other thing is you can get rubberized abrasives in a mounted on a spindle, which you can power an electric drill. One of those might work as well, but something like a light touch. They're very thin steel, and you don't want to eat it away. But in this case, this is quite rusty, and I would want to get it cleaned properly before I peened it.
Could you get that clean the back out was? Yeah, all that good stuff.
You could do if you had enough elbow grease. Yeah, yeah.
Just a rust removing product.
They might do, yeah. Yeah,
Stuff off if it's embedded.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't dealt with
Use vinegar.
not on a scythe blade, no. Yeah, yeah. So that's what you would need to do first. Try and get it as clean as you can, because by peening, you're just going to really drive those rust particles into the metal. But anyway, peening, I won't peen this properly because I don't want to damage the blade because it is a bit rusty and we need to clean it.
Is it rusty?
And I don't want to take the other blades off the snaps yet. So you get when you buy a kit from Scythe Cymru or from Simon, you can order it with a peening jig. Now you've sat down, Vicky. Can I make you get up and pass me the hammer? It's
You will keep calories up and down.
Yeah, I'll let you sit down again, then I'll ask you for something else. Thank you. So, peening basically is cold forging, where as you sharpen the blade, the edge of a scythe blade is infinitesimally thin. The thickness here is, I don't know, maybe a millimetre and a half. Thicker blades, heavier blades like the bush blade might be 2.5 millimeters. As you sharpen, you're removing metal, and you get further and further into the thicker metal. So you need to thin that down to make the sharpening with the stone easier and quicker. So to do that, you basically squish the metal on an anvil, and that pushes more metal out. So they sell you this little jig, which this is the anvil, and it's got two caps. It's got one with one ring, which you use first, and it's got one with two rings, which you use second. So the one with one ring, basically it squishes the metal about 2 to 3 millimeters in from the very edge. So it's pushing more steel. Steel's malleable. That's what the word malleable means. You whack it with a hammer and it responds, it stretches, squishes. So this is squishing it about 2 to 3 millimeters from the edge. So it's pushing out more steel and making it thinner. Then, having gone all the way down the blade with cap number 1, you then do the same with cap number 2, which basically flattens that it flattens out the edge that you've made with cap number 1. It won't be. Have a look at them. I'll pass them around in a minute. Have a look at the picture in Steve Tomlin's book, which explains it a lot better than I have just done. And once you see it in profile or in cross section, you get the idea of where each of the caps is working. So to do that, we're not quite set up properly. Ideally, you rest the blade on your knees, and this anvil should be at this height. But we're making do with a bit of old telegraph pole. But might they get a power cut later?
Oh,
Bad joke.
Bad joke. Sorry. So, but we'll pretend that this is at knee height. We're making do here. So you pop that on there. You can use a standard hammer, about 500 grams, pound weight, something like that. Claw hammer is fine. There are other peening anvils you get, and you have to use a special peening hammer. But for this jig, any old hammer will do, about pound weight. Never hit the jig on there. You'll buckle the metal. So only hit the cap when there's a blade in place. So basically, what you would do, I can't peen this properly because I can't rest it on my knees, but you would pretend it's resting on my knees. You just use the weight of the hammer. You don't whack it too much. So
down.
so I'm moving the blade down about a couple of millimeters after every stroke. And I would go all the way down the blade. And I will pass this around because you could actually see a bit I've squished in the rust pattern. So be very careful because the edge is a little bit sharp. So, but I'll pass it around. Yeah, when you've gone all the way down the blade with cap number 1, you do the same with cap number 2. The drawback of this jig is that, yeah, you've pushed out metal, but you've also pushed the metal against this spigot here, which is going to basically blunt the very edge. So then you've got to go back to your carborundum stone, your coarse one, and give it a good old hone with the coarse stone, and then with the fine stone. So, yeah, I think that's really all I can show you here. There are other sorts of anvil. If you really damage your blade, you need a different sort of anvil, which has a flat domed surface, and you use a special peening hammer, because what can happen is that you might fold over. If the edge is quite thin, you fold it over. If you hit a burdock or a blackthorn or a fence post or a rock, or you can even get little cracks in the blade, which start penetrating. If you have a crack, you have to get a file and file right to the bottom of the crack, so you end up with a scallop in the blade. But you can then peen that out carefully with the flat anvil. I didn't bring it because it was a bit heavy to put in my rucksack. But that's the tool for repairing damage, really. Hopefully you won't need one. But yeah.